Aloha, beloveds. I wanted to make this quick video because I thought it was an important message, and I just spent the last couple of days with my beautiful daughter, and she had a baby. So yes, I am a soul ma, and the baby's 5 months old, and it's just such a beautiful experience to be able to share this time with her. I'm grateful that she lives here on this island now, and you know, if anyone has read my first book, Fearless Freedom Becoming Soulfire, you'll know that one of the challenges I had was becoming a parent so young, but then becoming a single parent right after that. And the way I became a single parent was really traumatizing for me, and I didn't have any help at the time. I didn't go to therapy. Like nowadays, there's like groups and therapy for everything, right? Back then, there was nothing. This was like almost 30 years ago. So I didn't have a support group. I didn't have family. Didn't really have friends around, and no therapy. So I was just like traumatized. And the thing is, I had already been traumatized from my childhood, from my beginning of how I came into this lifetime. And so I had carried all of that with me. And then, so I just had like so many deep-seated wounds and trauma, and then I became a single parent. And because I had all those unhealed places within me, and I wasn't ready, and I had no support, I took a lot of my unhealed wounds out on my daughter. And that was something that I've always felt horrible about. I wrote about it in my book. I used to cry about it all the time. I wrote my daughter numerous letters asking her to forgive me and apologizing for taking out my anger on her, and I was yelling and screaming at her and just taking out my rage and my unhealed wounds out on her because she was just a little girl, she didn't deserve it. And it was like worse when I became more awake and conscious, when I started to really make a commitment to heal myself. And that wasn't until she was 8 years old, and by then it was like the damage was already done. And then you start learning things, and you're like, oh my god, I feel even worse. Like, I learned that most children stay in the theta state of their mind, of their brain waves, until about the age of 8, which means they're a sponge. They just download whatever they see, whatever is shown to them from their parents, from school, or wherever. They just download it into their subconscious. And I'm like, great, so the first 8 years of her life were like a nightmare with me. And I was like, I ruined my daughter, and all I ever wanted to do was be a good mother, because I didn't have a mother, and all I cared about was being a good mother to my daughter. And I was just like, and I just ruined her, and it was just like this horrible guilt that I just lived with every day. It was terrible. I could just, when I go back into that space and place, it just feels so awful, like what I had to live with. And since then, my daughter's seen me. I've done 22 years go by, and I've done so much work on myself, and my daughter's acknowledged that, and she's forgiven me. And I know, but it doesn't mean that I still didn't cause damage, and the scars won't be there. And but what I wanted to share on a positive note was that I got to spend the last couple of days with her, helping her with the baby. And I said something to her. I said, because maybe I was telling her what an amazing mother she is. And because she's just like, I see the light in her. She's such a good mother, and I'm so impressed. It just makes me so happy to see that she's a good mother. And then I felt bad. I said to her, like, I'm sorry that I was such a bad mother to you. Like, I was just really wounded, and I was really traumatized, and I had no support. I had no family, no friends. I had no therapy. I had nobody to help me. And I'm sorry that I took out all of my wounds and all my darkness out on you. I said something to that effect, like, I'm sorry. And I've said this to her before, but I just felt like I wanted to say it again now that I was seeing her as a mother. And you know what she said to me? She said, Mom, she said, you know, I always knew you loved me. And, you know, even though I know that you took out your anger and you yelled at me a lot, but like I always knew, Mom, that you loved me. I knew that. And it made me really feel good, you know, better. I'm saying good, but I felt better than I did before about, you know, my parenting. And I also learned that in one of my books, and I've read so many books on everything, parenting, children, indigo children, all psychology books, spiritual books, like I've read them all, but I remember reading once, and it really stuck with me. And also, not only did I read it, but then I got the message from my angel guides many times. They said, you know, if a child feels loved from a person, from an adult, and it doesn't have to be their parent even, just like has one person in their life, one, that shows them love, you know, unconditional, all just love, that child will thrive. That's all the child needs. And I've gotten that message, you know, because my guides, they know how I struggled with that and feeling so guilty about being such a shitty parent and screwing up my kid. And they would always tell me, the love that you have for her will supersede any of whatever else that you did. It'll trump that. The love that you have for her trumps all of the things that you think that you did that caused her harm. And I have to believe that, right? And I like to say that she's 30 now and she has her own baby, and she's just this beautiful, amazing, powerful, strong woman. Like, I wasn't like that when I was her age. I was a complete mess. I mean, she knows who she is. She's just like very like, and she's an amazing person. And I'm like, okay, well, I'd like to think that I contribute somewhat to that. I know, like, it's probably also just in her DNA, like in her soul blueprint. She's like, I'm coming into this world as a fierce, fearless warrior too. But I'd like to think that I had a part to play with that, because, yeah, on one hand, I did take out a lot of my anger and unhealed and unresolved wounds and neuroses out on her. But on the other hand, I loved her so much, you know, and she was the most important thing in my life. And I really just sacrificed my dreams in my life. I put them on hold to raise her. So for like 18 years, probably longer, say 20 years, I just put my life on hold just to be there for her. You know, doing jobs I didn't want to do and working through 2-3 jobs to be there for her. And God, it was the hardest thing I ever had to do. But yeah, so anyway, I wanted to share this message today. So if anyone is a parent out there and maybe it's feeling bad or guilty about things, I just wanted to share this message with you, because when it was shared with me, it really helped me to feel better about myself. Like I wasn't totally screwing up my kid, and that, you know, it's going back to, I have another book written which I haven't published yet, but it was all about the power of love. I wanted to call it The Power of Love, but I think there's already a book published called that. And but I don't know, I was just divinely guided to write about love, and it wasn't love like we know it, like the romantic Hollywood love, not like that. It was about like what love really is, and like the true power of it, and what its possibility of when you are igniting the love fire, the love within yourself, like what can happen, and it's miracles can happen. So many things can happen, and like what exactly is love? And I'm going to go off on another tangent, so I'm going to stop myself there. But that has to do with the fact, what I'm trying to bring it all together, that is when you truly love your child, and that's like that unconditional love of a mother whether you're a father or mother or a caregiver or a grandmother or an auntie or uncle. But when you show that child that unconditional power of love, that can move mountains. That can change everything in a child, and that could change the very fabric of whatever it is that was happening. It just melts it and rewrites it into this miraculous, beautiful, divine, I don't even know what I'm saying, but the power of love, true love from your heart, is the most important thing that you could give a child. That's what I want to say. So thanks for listening to my babble, and I hope you have a beautiful Sunday. Aloha.
The soul fire in me, I give to you. Aho. To learn more about my offerings, visit my website at igniteyoursoulfire.com. Please subscribe to my channel and comment below, my soul family. Thank you for being here on our precious planet Gaia at this time. Your light matters. You matter. You make a difference in the world by just being you. Ahuiho. Until our hearts meet again. You are loved.